The Micro Four Thirds system is well served for native macro lenses, with two each from Panasonic and Olympus respectively. The macro designation means being able to achieve a 1:1 reproduction ratio and a design favouring flatness of field and optimum sharpness at close range. Having said that, they do tend to be very sharp at all ranges, being a prime with a limited maximum aperture, usually f2.8 or 3.5. This Meike 85mm f2.8 fulfills all the macro criteria, but very unusually exceeds the 1:1 ratio by going 1:1.5. Unlike Spinal Tap guitarist Nigel Tufnell's Marshall amp, which goes to 11 however, this Meike really does go to 1:1.5, so that a subject just 11mm, less than half an inch wide, fills the frame. In true Meike fashion, the lens is built like a battleship, all metal, big and heavy. It's fully manual and comes with a smart lens hood. It is unusual in having two focusing rings, the front one going from infinity to 1:1, the rear one taking you to 1:1.5. There's a non-clicking aperture ring from f2.8 to f22 at the front. In use, this lens will spend most of its time on a tripod. At such magnification, depth of field is zilch, even stopped down to f11, and hand-holding is impossible. It is actually easier to move the subject in and out, although the best way is to mount the camera on a sliding rail mount and move the whole camera lens combo back and forth. Aside from the macro use, the 85mm focal length is a nice one for big headshots. I used to use a Nikkor 180mm f2.8 for talking head interview shots in my news photography days. The focusing ring movement over normal distances is small, however, so you need to be very precise in your operation. I like the way the big repro ratio gives a different, almost impressionistic view of everyday things, but setting things up can be fraught. My tripod is plenty solid for shots on a 300mm lens with several seconds exposure, but it took great care to get it steady enough for a shot with this lens. That's part of the fun, of course. I found it best to use the smartphone app as a remote release. The 85mm focal length gives you a useful distance for lighting your subject at high repro rates, but a ring flash or light makes things a lot easier. Its sharpness is impressive both near and far, and being an adaptation from full frame to Micro Four Thirds, we are only using the best bit of the image field. Meike lenses are always welcome in my arsenal of gear because they produce genuinely useful lenses, offering wide apertures at lower prices or optics that the big boys don't bother with. Their f2 fisheye is in my lineup, for example, because its price makes it viable to have a lens that is used only once in a while for specialised subjects. The 85mm f2.8 with its ultra-close focus is unique in the Micro Four Thirds system, and with some imagination and care can make spectacularly different, almost abstract pictures. While you can use it as an 85mm general purpose optic, it is clearly intended as a macro first and foremost. Its very reasonable price reflects its manual-only nature, but that is no disadvantage in this case. At the distances this lens will be used, manual focus gives better control of the focus point than auto, and size and weight aren't relevant in a lens that will be used on a tripod. Plus, if you use aperture priority mode, you still have auto exposure. If you want a lens that natively offers extreme close-up focusing, you don't have a choice. This is it. The fact that it does it well, and at a non-arm and leg price, is a bonus. Thanks for watching.